All right, you should be live.
Okay, welcome to the Oberlin School District Board of Education meeting for November 24th, 2020. Regular session, call the roll.
Ms. Amaka,
Here.
Ms. Sham,
Here.
Mr. Williams.
Here. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make that a motion to approve the agenda. Once we get it in for the discussion, we need to make some changes.
Okay.
So Ferry, you'll have to second it.
Second, yeah.
Okay.
So we need to make a couple of additions to the personnel. We need to add an extended maternity leave for Jillian. Is that how you say it?
Jillian Baker.
Jillian Baker. And then withdraw the Justin Peck building substitute since he got a permanent job. And in the board items, we need to add a resolution to continue our remote meetings since we got House Bill 404 passed.
Okay, so discussion, that was discussion and.
Well, David, do you have an updated copy of the agenda that you can post for us on the screen? Or do we have it as a Word document that we can edit?
Yes, it's the Word document I placed on there.
Just so that we don't lose track.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, so now we are good to move on. Okay. Call the roll.
Ms. Amaka,
Yes.
Ms. Sham,
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Steve Nielsen, can you send Ken Stanley the link for the meeting? Oh, never mind. He found it.
Okay, adoption of agenda for this meeting. That's okay. That's citizens' concern on agenda items.
We have not received any citizen concerns at this time.
Okay. News of note.
Thank you.
News and notes. First, I'd like to turn over our facilities update. We have TDA online, and we also have a brief presentation from TDA from a drone site view of the project site. So I'm going to turn over to TDA and Greenspace to provide a brief update of the project, and you can start.
Good evening, Rich, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I didn't know if we wanted to show the visual report and kind of discuss that or discuss progress ahead of that.
Okay, the visual report's coming up now.
So Rich, why don't you show the visuals?
You'll have to share. Yeah.
There you go.
So there you see the gymnasium, the windows. Again, you're looking at the sides of the gymnasium and looking over to the west, the academic two-story area. The area 2 roofs are all in place, with the exception of the metal coping. Second floor slab on deck. We actually poured from where you see the area of the concrete there over to the edge. We put that today to the west stairwell. We placed that today. And we will be, we're scheduling another concrete pour or placement on Friday. And we're debating how much to go, how much to get on Friday. And we're looking with the weather, we're hoping maybe to get the rest of the concrete, if not all on Friday, we'll come in on Saturday and get it. So we hopefully, early, at the latest, early next week, we'll have the concrete for the second floor of the academic wing done. If you look at the exterior of the second floor, you see that metal studs are going up for the exterior. We have sheeting will be starting tomorrow. So we'll start to enclose that area. See, if you look right there to your left, you see the studs for the exterior sheeting. But we'll start sheeting tomorrow. And looking at the site, we put the gas line in, it's going to the building today. So the gas meter will be in place. So we should have gas to the building, natural gas to the building within a couple of weeks, which will get us a temporary heat in the areas that we have enclosed. There's ductwork, there's air handler unit number 2. There's the two water heaters and the storage tank. Electrical switch gear, that's over in the main electrical room in area 2. And it just shows some ductwork going in over in area 2, which is the masonry section, and it's a section that is under roof. And again, there's the inside of the gym, and those windows are in. The windows are all going in area 2. We're starting to glaze those windows. We should have all of that, all the windows in that area should be done next week. That's the media center. Those windows are in place. This was taken last Friday. So those windows are actually in place as we speak. That's the exterior of the media center. There's the east stairway. Now the west stairs are here. The steel framing is in place for the west stairwell, and actually that's where that white signature beam is. That's in place, and the stairs for that should be going in. If not Friday, it'll be going in early next week. There's the concrete that was placed last Friday. And we placed concrete today, and our next concrete placement is Friday. And we're looking to see how much we can actually get on Friday, and we're also looking at placing concrete on Saturday. And there's the white beam.
Oberlin.
Yeah, they misspelled something there.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
It's actually the typo I frequently make when I'm typing Oberlin.
Oh, I didn't. Oh boy, I didn't see. I'm sorry.
We will forgive you, especially if you get
That's
the
right.
project done on time.
Oh, it will be. We just finished a schedule updating. We are showing on time right now.
Awesome.
Okay. So, and again, we're trying to get like I said, we placed concrete today on the second floor deck, and with the temperatures seem to be pretty good through the weekend, and they're going to start dropping out a little bit. So we're trying to finish it up by Saturday.
We'll place the, once the slideshow or once the presentation is corrected, we'll send it out to or place it on social media so the community and family members can see it.
I really apologize for that. I totally overlooked. I was looking at the pictures more than the end, I guess. I really apologize.
We're more interested in the content.
And I should have caught earlier too. I was looking at the photos and the pictures and the site and getting excited about everything. I should have detail pieces with it.
I think it just jumped out to me because I do it all the time.
But we appreciate TDA's and Green Space's work on the project. It's going around really well. A lot of the furniture has been picked out. A lot of colors have been picked out. So we're still moving ahead, and I believe we're still on track and within our budget and on time.
We're finalizing that. There's a meeting scheduled for Monday to go over the recent bids that we received for the furniture and for the technology.
I believe that's going to be a board item as well to go over the bids for the technology and the furniture pieces there, to keep things moving. Any questions for Green Space and TDA?
I have one, just from a oversight of the progress. I just wanted to make sure that things are not just on target, that we're able to continue meeting the quality standards that have been set out. I just want to make sure that any concerns are addressed and that we have that kind of proper oversight happening.
We're very quality conscious. We watch that every day. We're not just trying to get it done in a hurry. We're trying to get it done properly. So, and again, we are working towards getting it done on time. But again, there's no way we'll ever forego quality for that.
Thank you.
And Gary Neola from our office is visiting weekly. The team is in constant contact with each other. And we even had a very good mason who pointed out a problem that we were able to resolve quickly. So, great work on everyone's part.
Okay. Thank you. I think that's an important reassurance to give, because this monitoring throughout is key to.
Well, plus we have independent testing agencies on site as well, who's testing, all the concrete, testing the masonry, the steel, and so forth.
Perfect.
So we talked a little bit, and I know that Barry sent out an initial email about, what can we do in response to COVID to increase airflow? Is that something that we're?
We have great airflow, and I don't know if you saw the response, but
I'm sorry, I have not followed the whole thing as well as I
we have
should.
multiple air changes. I think it's 9 per hour. And then, the entire building can be flushed out at night as well. So the amount of fresh air you're getting is not an issue. The one thing we did talk about is perhaps adding some ionization chambers. And we're still looking at that.
What would that mean?
It ionizes the air, and it essentially makes the particles stick together so that they get captured by the filter. So the virus particles clump together and get caught. So that's what that means.
Thank you.
Also with the monitor piece, you have Danny, Nicola, myself, and Bob also continue walkthroughs. We still have our meetings at least twice to 3 times a month, our formal meetings, and we have informal meetings going on too. So there's a lot of continuous communications going on through this pandemic piece to make sure that we're all on task.
The design team's not lonely from lack of communication.
Wearing masks.
And Brad, back to the ionization thing. When would that decision have to be made?
I would think relatively soon. We have our engineer working on it, and I'll follow up and see where he is.
Okay. Yeah, so obviously there'll be a cost to that.
Correct.
And and we would want to evaluate, what the benefit is that we're getting from that. So, yeah, I guess you'll give us a full report on both sides of that. Dr. Hall, is there, is there a, because Brad, obviously you understand a lot about the health aspects, but you're not necessarily a health professional. Do we want to have a health professional speak to this, or
Well, as you know,
I assume that at some point we'll have to make a decision, and I haven't-
science seems to evolve almost daily.
Okay.
If somebody sneezes on you or coughs on you or speaks, right next to you, it's not going to be picked up. By the time it gets to the return air, it's already gone over you. So,
Right.
just,
You can't make
that's
it
not
100% safe.
right.
It's indoors. It's still indoors.
So this can help, but it certainly can't stop a spread like that. It would help with air that's recirculated, but not a direct transmission from somebody, standing next to somebody and speaking, especially if
And
they
it's
don't
sort
have
of-
a mask on.
And my sense is, and just thinking about it, that ionization would help with recirculated air, but not with, if you're just taking air from the outside, heating it up. I don't know if there's any way you can do any sort of kind of heat exchange, so we pick up some of the heat as we send it out, but it's probably well beyond what we can do. But anyway, the point is, if we're just bringing in air from the outside, there's no real need to ionize that, because we don't, the outside air shouldn't be laden with COVID. So the ionization.
Yeah, it depends how much outside air you decide to bring in at a time.
And I assume that that's a decision. How much outside air we bring in that's a tunable thing during the year.
Correct.
We choose to, if it's a relatively healthy winter, we might not do more than a couple air exchanges an hour, or whatever the lower end is, because the more air you exchange, the more energy it costs, I assume.
Exactly. And pre-COVID, I mean, this building was really designed more for energy savings pre-COVID, to have fresh air and have CO2 monitors and to have air exchanges to keep the levels safe, but it wasn't really designed for total flush out, which is very energy consuming, as you point out.
Right. But I guess with the ionization, it might then give us another way to clean the air without quite as much energy cost. I'm just, like I said.
That's correct. It would clean the recirculating air without having to bring in additional outside air.
Mm-hmm. And that would have a cost savings down the road, potentially. If we feel that the air needs to be cleaned, but we don't want to do the air exchanges, we turn the ionizer on, then maybe it saves us some energy down the road. Lots of things to think about, I'm sure.
Yes.
Once we get a cost back, Ken, of course, I'll update the board on what the cost is and see our budget and see if it's minimal enough so we can, of course, see if we can put it into the system as well.
Yeah, because we want to do, think in terms of life cycle costs. And so there will be cost savings as well. And that's also hard to estimate.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to make
the sooner you could get us something on that, the better, so we could see exactly how it would affect our schedule and where we would be installing. I assume it would be installed at the air handler unit somehow, Brad?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, just so we know, because ductwork is starting to come on site, that kind of
Right.
that modifications we would have to make. The sooner the better.
Correct.
Okay. We also have a couple of grants in the works right now with the city and also EPA that will help assist funding with solar on the roof and vehicle charging stations and some landscaping as well. But we'll keep the board and community updated on those grants too as available. Excuse me. Okay. Any questions for TDA? Any further questions?
Have a good Thanksgiving, everyone.
And to
Keep up the
you.
good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Next, I'd like to present to the board some updates with the school system on interventions that we have implemented since school began to help students with academic and social support as well. Share my screen here. And we also have Langston Middle School and Oberlin High School provide a few facilities and updates of what they've been doing to interventions they've been doing there at their schools as well. Within the district, we've been in some supplementals. We have social emotional interventions going on. We've had them going on for the last couple of months, and for the last couple, we've still been increasing them as we go along throughout this pandemic. Social emotional interventions we know students are miss being with their teachers and need some kind of social interaction. As the board approved last meeting and this meeting as well, we do have some supplementals and clubs have started on site and virtual. We have esports, academic challenge, drama club, and other clubs that's going on with our students. Before these clubs actually started up, they had to submit a plan to our principals and to the superintendent of how they're going to engage the students, how they're going to do these clubs virtually, and how they're going to keep them safe if kids are coming on site. So they had to submit, each one submitted a plan for us to get approved prior to starting up the clubs. And those clubs are going all the way through elementary, all the way to the high school level. We also have collaboration with the Mars board. Kurt used to be the Addison, connected together. The Mental Health Addiction and Recovery Services Board, and also independent agencies like Family Alliance Counseling Services are involved into the school system. The Mental Health Addiction and Recovery Services Board consists of Licata, Belfair, and there's other agencies, NORS is part of them. So it's a collaboration of different mental health agencies together. They're all involved into our school system from the elementary level all the way up to our to the high school level. We even have them integrated in our school day with our health classes and other opportunities for them to get in. And some of the social emotional support systems that we have, Lorain County Board of Mental Health will provide funding for professional development as well, curriculum, positive rewards to increase SEL support throughout the district. Funding will be awarded in January, just in time for the second quarter. So we have seeked out grants for that to support the social emotional. Mr. Nenemy and school counselors continue to support students through remote learning. Support is embedded in their class schedule to decrease Zoom fatigue. We do know that students right now are in a limited amount of time because before Zoom fatigue sets in. So we do try to monitor how much time they're online. So a lot of our counselors, for example, Monday through Friday, been ICE camp at the elementary level, utilizes a second step curriculum to support students. That is embedded into the class, and we also have teachers in there with the students. So Ben works as a collaborate with the teachers to make that happen for our students. Second step program goes over social emotional. They even have good touch, bad touch curriculum, various different curriculum pieces they have. But those are still going on even though we're at e-learning right now, and they're continuing on at a hybrid model. Students learn how to express emotions, balance stress, and set positive goals through that instruction. We also have Emily Gendra utilizes time to help students deal with stress and anxiety. Emily's currently at Langston Middle School, and she does a lot of different programming for our middle school students too, and also for our parents as well, training and workshops for them too as well. High school counselors are servicing students individually, virtually with a limited amount of students coming into the building. The sessions include managing stress, depression, anxiety, making positive goals. Mr. Frank probably will talk more about some of the programs they're doing, and also Emily Ginger's program, social emotional, in their part as well. As mentioned before, Licata is working with students in health classes in Mr. Jordan's class at the high school, utilizing life skills curriculum. Life skills curriculum is a research-based curriculum that helps students to make better choices at the high school level. and that's embedded into our PE class with Mr. Joyner. Students respond positively to the facilitator, and they are able to have open-end discussions via Zoom. So Mr. Joyner's engaged with the help of Licata, providing support for students social emotionally during class time. Tutoring opportunities for our students. Students can access tutor in a few different ways. They can utilize, we have America Counts tutor for math from 1:30 to 3 o'clock. We also have some of it's embedded into our school day. At the middle school, we have a win time. It's called What I Need, and Mrs. Hicks will talk more about the win time. This opportunity for kids to receive tutoring from teachers in the school day, class on Wednesday and Thursdays. She'll talk more about how that is integrated within a day for our students. So if they need help in math, they need help in social studies, they have that support for them throughout the day, or throughout the end of the day. The last period of the day, 2:45 to 3:20, is an independent study time for students, and also time that the students can work on one-on-one or in small groups with teachers for tutoring purposes if they need it. Pretty much K to 12, we have some kind of tutorial opportunities for students. Either at the end of the day at the elementary level or in the high school level to the middle school level. They have small group sessions going on for our students as well. So that time is designated to fine tune some interventions for our students for small groups for them. And of course, we have the NIDE program as well, offering tutoring opportunities for our students at the high school level to provide content area tutoring for them. So we do have a number of students engaging in America Counts, American Reach program as well as school. We also have on-site interventions. We know some of our students are not performing well while they're at home, so we know we have to provide that on-site intervention for them. And Mr. Frank and Mr. Six will talk more about some innovative things they're doing there at their schools. Preschool students are attending school, so they're on site, so they're getting that reinforcement 4 days a week. We do have 4 days a week preschool going on currently now, where in the morning time, in the AM session, we have a group of students coming in for that reinforcement. Virtual Learning Center, we have support there, and we are planning on increasing that support at the Virtual Learning Center by having teachers and to provide additional support for the students during that Virtual Learning Center period. We also have, starting in the next couple of weeks here, teachers and administrators identify some of our students that need additional support. So the Virtual Learning Center may have additional students added into their into the program to provide additional support for students. So if a teacher would like to give that support to a student, they can come down to the Virtual Learning Center, provide that support for them. The Virtual Learning Center will change locations on November 30th. This was done to provide additional support for the students. So our K-12 Virtual Learning Center will be held at Eastwood Elementary, and our 3-5 Virtual Learning Center will be held at Prospect Elementary. So those teachers that have those students will be there, located there, so they can come down and provide support if needed, instead of traveling back and forth when the support's needed. This concept, the Virtual Learning Center concept, have it branched off into the middle school and also the high school level too. On our November 20th professional development, that was one of the goals we worked on, was working on additional interventions for our students. So that November the 20th piece, PD Day, our teachers and staff created additional interventions for students, whether it's on site or whether it's through providing more tutorial opportunities for students online. But they created additional plans for that, and that's a work in progress for them. So sometime between November the 30th and January the 19th, we knew we had to bring some, provide additional support for our students who are not meeting, up to par academically. So few students may come in for that, whether it's special program students or certain specific students have been identified that need support. And Oberlin High Schools had developed a intervention plan. I'd like Chris to talk to you more about that when he does his part. I want to steal his thunder. And I'm gonna turn over to them, but I just wanted the community to know and the board to know that we do have some support systems in place for our students that are struggling. NIDE is providing college tutors, not on site, but there are virtually done. We try to limit the number of people that's in the building on site for safety. So we have certified teachers there, we have support staff there, So we are very cautious of how many people actually coming in, where the location they're going in a building, whether they're required to wear masks when they come in a building. We have over 100 kids probably coming in throughout the day that are getting support, from special needs students to preschool students to virtual learning center students. And Chris and Mrs. Hicks has increased that by providing more opportunities for students to come in and tutorial opportunities for them.
Dr. Hall, was that 100 kids pre-K through 12?
Yes, yes, yes. We have about 50 or so kids in the virtual learning center. And then we have probably another 20 in the preschool program. And we have some other ones coming in from special needs programs to Chris has just created the high school program as well. Have about another, I'd say 20 to 30 students coming in for his program as well. And we're also working with our athletes as well too, which we identified that some of our athletes, they need to stay eligible. So we're going to work with them to increase their academics so they'll be ready for the spring and also ready for the winter as well.
Okay, real quick, you said there were about 50 kids in the virtual learning center, 20 in preschool, and you said 20 to 30, that was in what program?
Mr. Frank's going to talk about another program that's going on at the high school. He just started up where you have students coming in that need interventions. That's been identified.
Okay. At the high school.
And we also have some special needs students that are coming in too that are identified that need additional instruction. Not all of our special needs program students are coming in, but the ones that need additional instruction are coming in.
Okay. And then I have another question, and I don't know if this would be Mr. Frank's question or not, but are some of these services, such as like the Licata and the Mars program, are they also available to teachers as well, or is it just the students?
So Licata, I wanted to add this, we had Licata in since last year. We created a partnership with them. They come in to improve health class curriculum, just kind of bolster that. It's essentially for our students.
Okay.
Licata is, in the past, we looked at Licata as being something that was reactive to students that might find themselves in trouble. This programming is all about making healthy choices as a young teenager prior to ever, getting into any, kind of trouble, or just making healthy choices. So it's primarily for students. They do offer support for families. Licata does if we seek out that resource.
And we have with the Mars board, they, of course, we have counselors like Nita Witt here that work with students and also work with families too. A lot of work with the IHBT program and house-based therapy program. So they do more of an intense program with them as well. So they are working with the families and the students. And one of the additions we have to the staff is Mr. Ninemi utilizing our CARES funding as well. We have a full-time social worker on staff as well too. So they do provide support for staff as well. And a lot of staff do utilize him and, to air some questions out or to some concerns they may have with things going on in their lives. One of the best assets Mr. Ninemi have done too, he's coordinated a lot of those services with our counselors. Our counselors are more teachers, guidance counselor pieces. Mr. Ninemi provides that social work aspect of it, of how to report, how to provide small groups. So being an LSW, he's able to provide that resource for them as well. And he has training going on with them as well. And he keeps them up to date as well in training pieces, which until he came, that was kind of, okay, fine, the guidance counselors, but he took charge of that piece of making sure they're ready to go and provide those services. All right, so I'll turn it over to Mr. Frank and Ms. Hicks and Sheila.
Hello, everyone. We're going to start with Langston's facilities update. We have routine walkthroughs and updates with the head custodian, principal, central office, Dr. Hall, and Bob Reinhardt. Both join me as I walk with Earl and we look at the grounds and through the building and talk about what's been replaced, what needs replaced or repaired. Some of the things that have been done already are roof repairs. And so obviously with the old building, we have some leakage and tiles get replaced and leaks get repaired and water finds new places to travel to. So that seems like a continual process, but it is something that we're keeping up with. We did improve the circulation system in the music complex. It hadn't worked for some time and now it is, so we have better air quality in the music complex. Mr. Reinhardt, I believe, has those exact numbers if he's here and wants to elaborate on the amount of fresh air being recycled through the building, through that music complex. We have 2 boilers at Langston. One of them was just repaired. It had to have all new pipes, so it was broken apart for just a few days, really. Boiler 1 continued to work, and then they came in yesterday and put boiler 2 back together. So we have 2 working boilers at Langston. Heating elements in classrooms. Again, it's an old building, so the heating elements, mostly it's the switches that malfunction, and because it's old, it takes a little bit longer to locate those parts and get them in. And so we have one that's being worked on now in Miss Sanders' room, and they have located the part and is waiting for it to come in so they can get that room a little warmer in there. We've had a faucet replaced and a sink replaced. 5 new air conditioning window units were put in at the beginning of the school year. You can see that bike repair station that in collaboration with the college, they donated, and Mr. Barnes put that together before school started. And, it's there. I know we're not having students in the building fully in the building right now, but athletes coming to practice, other people coming, it's still there to be used if someone wants to use that. Safety and sanitization measures are still in place. We have sanitization happening regularly with Mr. Barnes going through, and while the staff members are in there spraying down the handles, doorknobs, stairwell, wiping that down, the railings there. Extra in the evening time with our custodial crew that comes in the evening, continuing those efforts, and then going through and really getting prepared for our student return, thinking about pathways and walkways and how to make the time in the building as safe as possible for everyone. Next slide. Virtual learning update. So right now we have 203 students currently enrolled at Langston. Daily attendance average is 94.03. One of the things we did was created a double block class periods to provide more in-depth learning experiences. It was quickly, we quickly realized that having that longer time with the class helped them to be able to do more inquiry-based lessons and learning, be able to do more project-based learning. And it also helped so that students, we can be more mindful of screen time. If we're with students for a longer amount of time in each class, then we can more carefully monitor how much time are we spending in class. And so with that, it means that students have only 2 core subjects a day for double periods, and then they also have their specials each day that they go to. And on Friday then, so that's double block is Monday through Thursday, and then Friday they have all of the core classes. And that time goes by way too quick, and teachers are realizing that that's the time when they can't really get in deep into the lessons. And so they really appreciate having those double block. And I know that the students do too. We continue, even with that double block, to have 10-minute breaks between classes so that students can, every 40 minutes they get a 10-minute break where they move away. They're encouraged to shut down their computer, or at least move away from the computer, get up, do whatever they need to do. We do have clubs that are continuing to exist virtually. Student Council, You Belong, Academic Challenge, and Yearbook Club. In the picture is our Academic Challenge team. That's our 5th and 6th grade team, and they have been preparing virtually, but for the competition that was last week, they had to meet in person. And again, instead of all the schools getting together, the competition was virtual, and you can see there that they are placed at least 6 feet apart with masks, and they brought home the first place trophy. So our 5th, 6th grade team won first place, so we're very proud of them. Mr. Marcus is our new math teacher in 7th grade, and he took on the team and has done a marvelous job with them. Also, the 7th, 8th grade team came in 2nd place, so they also brought a victory for Langston. So we're very proud of our academic challenge team. Another part of our, there we go. We do have a small group of students that attend partial days in person Monday through Thursday to receive special services as identified by pupil services. All right. Some of the interventions and supports, I know Dr. Hall also shared some of that. Each student has 2 WIN periods per week. And during that WIN time, that's when teachers can work in small groups. You can see that the ratio, there's about 5 teachers assigned to those WIN periods. And there are 4 groups of students in each grade level. And so the maximum amount of students in one of those groups is about 20, but it's really fewer than that. And so it gives teachers an opportunity to work with a really small group of students at a time for any type of interventions or support they may need. And Ms. Gendra, our school counselor, uses that time also to go in and provide emotional and social support for students. So that's been very helpful. We do have homework lab that meets from 2:40 to 3:20 each day. And so students can go there, either the teachers request to have them go there. A student can come on their own or ask to come. Parents can also request that students go to homework lab at that time. Our building sub, literacy aid, and 2 paras are in that Zoom meeting to help students. And once they're in there, they can then break into breakout rooms and even have more one-on-one support if needed. Teachers also all have planning period at the end of the day, so they are able to also go into that homework lab and provide support if needed. Weekly meetings with attendance team. Attendance, virtual learning, we want to make sure that students are showing up, and then we work on the engagement piece also once there. And so we have an attendance team that meets weekly that includes our attendance officer, me, our building secretary, our school counselor, and Jay, Mr. Nimini also is a part of that team. And so we meet weekly to talk about, students and their attendance and how to support them. We also have home visits, phone calls, Zoom meetings for encouragement and support. So sometimes Ms. Gendra, again, will do a private meeting with the student or families. I do the same thing during that Zoom time, just to try to reach students who might be having a more difficult time with virtual learning. Parent-teacher conferences were a great big success with the virtual learning. Teachers have reported that even more families showed up because there was greater flexibility with the virtual conferences. And so that was another opportunity to connect with families and offer student support. And as Dr. Hall said, we are analyzing data to determine how we're going to further support our students, and which includes inviting a safe number of students into Langston daily. And so we are continuing to work on that plan, and then looking at numbers in January, maybe we will start inviting those students in. Next slide. Our focus for Langston, that's our PBIS team from last year. And, all of the buildings in the district won the Bronze Award for the PBIS implementation. So that was another fabulous thing for the district. And so there are 4 basic things we've been focusing on at Langston this year. The first one being school improvement, and looking at that by strengthening academic instruction. And so involved in that is our professional learning communities, our BLTs, our TBTs, our vertical teams, district and building professional development that's geared towards strengthening academic instruction. And Langston also has an instructional coach who also goes through a coaching cycle with vertical teams of teachers and individual teachers. Another focus is to strengthen and build our building leadership team and the teacher-based teams into collaborative systems focused on improving instruction. And so we're really trying to make sure that we're looking at data and use that data to determine what changes we could make in instruction. So that's another focus. We continue to work through the RTI framework to support students, and that's the response to interventions. So weekly, our school counselor meets with teams of teachers so we can discuss specific students of concern and how we can support them. Obviously, education is a big part of that RTI process, but we also look at behavior, social, emotional aspects of our students' needs as well. And then last, continuing with the expansion, continuing to expand our PBIS program to support and promote student success. So the vertical instructional team, Kim is we have a meeting, each grade level has their TB teams, and that includes, all the core subject teachers from the grade level. But then we have our vertical team where all of the ELA teachers can meet and they discuss shared data and talk about strategies. All the social studies teachers meet. And so that was something new that we began last year. And it's a time where instead of just the grade level getting together, that we are able to have that vertical alignment with what we're doing in the building and how we're supporting students. I think it's important. Thank you. Secondary COVID protocols, and this includes both what they're doing at the high school and what we've been doing at Langston. And so right now for staff, there's a 3-point check system that they do at home. And teachers and staff, everybody who enters the building should be able to say no to all 3 of those questions that are posted there. Do you have a fever? Do you feel ill? Have you been in close contact with someone who tested positive for COVID? And it would be the same 3-point check system that we would expect families to do with their students upon their return to school. You can see there a picture of the temperature taking station where again, we have the 3-point check system, but if something happens en route to school and you start not feeling well, that you can stop there and, check your temperature, and obviously any visitors. Hand sanitizer dispensers are all throughout the building, every entryway and in all the classrooms. At Langston right now, we have assigned staff restrooms, again, so we can just try to keep people as spread out as possible and be able to conduct easier contact tracing. Limited use of common areas, mask worn during small group meetings while also remaining socially distanced. With the numbers increasing, more of our team meetings have gone virtual also, but we did enjoy being able to come in to a classroom and remain spaced apart and with masks when possible. Again, handrails, handles, doorknobs, all of those things being sanitized throughout the day, and additional sanitization efforts each evening. And we do have plexiglass in the office. We know we still have visitors coming in and parents or students that need to come in and need things from Langston. So we keep the plexiglass divider up in the office, hand sanitizer, mask, shields, and any other protective equipment that's needed, we provide to the staff. Any questions? That was a lot, and I know Mr. Frank still has to go, so I kind of went through it quickly. Are there any questions anyone has for me?
I had a question. Hello, Ms. Hicks.
Hello.
This might have been answered or addressed earlier, but it sounds like each of the schools has a certain number of students who really do need to come in at different times to get assistance with being able to even do their online work. So I just want to know, what's the number of students, if any, that you have coming into Langston for that extra support?
So right now we have 5 students that come in to Langston Monday through Thursday. And we are currently looking at the data, collecting more information to see who else might need greater support. And we are going to be looking into possibly bringing more students in January, depending on the numbers.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, aren't I glad you went first, Sheila, because you basically said just darn near everything that I was going to say.
Just say ditto and
Yeah, I mean, okay, so the COVID safeguards are really district protocol, and a lot of the things that we do, Sheila and I, we collaborate quite a bit on. So I really appreciate just again what she's sharing, because we really are doing some of the same things here. You can see in this slide, like we've got signage up in our building. I would invite any of our board members or anyone that would like to come and see it. It's much easier to show you than it is to tell you. We've actually moved our office around so that Brittany's desk is about 10 to 15 in from the walkway now at this point. We rearranged some things. It was just a good time to do some cleaning and do some rearranging. And so this setup is actually a little different. Doc, go ahead and you can even advance it. We've got the stations when we walk in as well too. The automatic sanitizing stations, now because of sports, we've got one as the kids walk into the gym. We'll move them around as we need to. We have a host of them in the building in different hallways, but right now without students per se in much of our building, we have put them strategically in places where there is traffic. Just again, like a lot of what's going to be important is signage. And so people can clearly know where you can and you can't go, what it is that we're expecting. And we've really put that in a lot of our places. And anywhere you go, it's just got to be as simple and as basic as possible and as clearly identifiable for our fans, for our students, for our employees, and for everybody. And so we've, our staff has done a really good job of putting some of these things up. You'll see here in one more slide. So again, just as you go, we try to make things as clear as possible, where there's a place to wash your hands, where there's a place to sanitize, where we'd like you to stand. And that will be all a part of the protocol. We're good. Again, our roof, it needs repairs as well too. We're constantly making repairs as we need to. We're going to be in the building for a while. We're going to take care of it. Same thing with the boiler. When something happens, we're going to fix it immediately. We're going to keep a small problem small and fix it before it becomes something that's larger. Again, just the things that are around, we're from our custodians to, I know I've seen Miss Haynes outside. Our landscaping courtyard, we're constantly taking care of what we have. I mean, it's tough every day to look outside and see a brand new building being built and not want to take care of yours as well too. You'll see in a couple slides we've transformed our classrooms, and teachers have done a really creative job to transform some of their classrooms into spaces. Our building is basically ready for a socially distanced day. Our teachers have set up their desks in ways. We have protocol and a plan for how we're going to alternate desks and spaces that will keep kids at a 6-foot distance, how we're going to manage the flow of traffic in the building. And the most important part is to take the intentional time when and if we do have students back to get everybody on the same page and how we're going to do it. And so there'll be some time that we'll take to that. We do the same thing with our walkthroughs. Dr. Hall, Mr. Reinhardt, Mr. Daniels, myself, we walk around and we're looking at things and we're taking care of them. We have the maintenance facility has been relocated into room 303 in our building. And again, we have the same thing, safety procedures in our building with hand sanitizing stations, the temperature desk, everything that you should see and that we have. And if we need something, we ask for it. And, teachers need to have what it is they need to do to feel comfortable to do their job. Go ahead, Doc. So again, we're fixing the roof. Here's a picture I took. And so one of the things is a little different now. And when we replace a ceiling tile, number one, we don't put a new one back in until we know the leak has been fixed. So you're not putting something right back into it and trying to mask it. There's no students in the building. There's a couple spaces where we want to make sure that leak is fixed before we're putting it in. And so now on the underside of a tile, we are signing it and dating it. So we know when it's been replaced, who replaced it, where it's been. So we can try to trace some of these leaks around a little bit to kind of see what it is or how long it actually has been there. Because it's tough to see a brown stain and know if it's been there a week, a month, or what it might be. But we're trying to figure out and chase it. And again, I appreciate the emphasis that we're putting into maintaining our buildings as well too. And so we're trying to do what we can to limit the amount and to be safe and smart about it. Here's just a good shot of our courtyard. You know, we're constantly trying to figure out what we're going to do with this space. There was some found money in an old account for the pond area that we'll look at doing if and when we can bring students back in. But just right now, creating and maintaining a space that is something that we can appreciate. And you've got it. It should look nice. It should feel maintained. It should feel like a sense of pride within your building. And so again, we've our staff and students have done a really good job of continuing to maintain this space for whatever it may be. You know, and I'm really open to what students would like to make it. You know, at the end of the day, if you want to dig a hole and have a plot of dirt for a garden, or you want to create something, whatever it is, you know, I'm saying it's dirt and it's a green space, and kids should be able to use and create it. So it's kind of a canvas. Here's a picture of Mrs. Melzer's station on the stage, and this is just a great example of how teachers are setting up shop and being really creative and making do with best they can with the situation. And a lot of our teachers have done the same thing with stand-up workstations, with utilizing cameras that will, Mr. Craig's got a camera that will kind of follow him around the room to be able to talk and move, utilizing your smartboard technology. So I just really I've been impressed with how teachers have continued to evolve their classrooms to make them really work for them day in and day out. Just jumping real quick to academics and state report card. This was a great, this was another jump up for us. Our 4-year graduation rate is an A. It's going to continue in most states or most schools across the state due to COVID moving forward. But this was prior to, to the break. And, one thing that we can be proud of is that at Oberlin High School, we're graduating those students within those 4 years. And that's continuing to maintain for us. And so obviously, the end of the goal is for all of our kids to walk out of here graduating on time. And we are getting closer and closer to 100%. This is just the same. It's a trend that will show the difference between our school in the blue, obviously the district being only one high school in the district, it's going to be the same. And then we're above the state average. One of our major goals is prepared for success goal. And we are making every attempt to increase access across the board to curriculum, to whatever pathway it is that speaks to you. And we're increasing college access. What you're seeing here are it's the College Credit Plus program, the partnership that we have with LCC. And the point behind showing you this 4-year trend is that, it started about 2015 and 16, but we started to enroll really 2017, 2018. And then once the Wellington partnership hit in 2018, 2019, we started to expand. Last year, we grew even further. This year, we have more students than the previous year, and this is only first semester. So we will have a whole new host of students taking second semester classes. So our numbers are increasing even more. We are looking to add more courses every year for students. We have opened up an associate's degree pathway for students that might really be able to take off as a 9th grader and take that course with some teacher support here at the high school. One thing I included down at the bottom, again, we talk about access. It's got to be access for all. And so we look at how the access for our non-white student participation and who it is that are taking those courses has increased from 2015, 16, now to 19, 20. We're at 25% of our students, and the state average is only 7.6. Again, the other side of that coin, when there's also CCP, there is the IB diploma program. And so what I'm trying to show here is that while we're increasing the College Credit Plus access, it is not taking away from IB. It's literally just increasing more opportunities for students that wish to take a route that speaks to them. And so again, it fluctuates with the grade sizes. But you can see, like, it really comes down to the number of exams. At the end of the day, like those full diplomas that are awarded, that is a really, really, that's a big undertaking for a student. And when I'm looking at access and I'm looking at students participating, when we're increasing the number of exams that we are giving out each year. And again, like we're here we are in 2021 and we haven't done it yet. So we're increasing every year. So that's really what it's about, is what you can take that's going to speak to you. A second goal for us again, it's monitoring the expanded pathways to graduation. And there's a number of ways that you can receive this diploma in the state of Ohio. You can get those 18 points on your end of course exams. There's a minimum ACT, SAT score, which makes you remediation free. And there's also a path of industry credential and workforce readiness. And we are trying to create pathways within Oberlin High School for all of those methods or all those pathways. And really the big one that we're moving toward is that industry credential and that workforce readiness within our building. So here's two examples with the industry approved credentials. Mr. Joyner, and so there's a caveat here. This physical therapy assistant last year was our first year to give it a shot and get it off the ground. COVID really put a hit in it because you've got to be face to face. This is really a hands-on type of curriculum that you need to be there and be a part of things. And so again, we have it. We're going to continue. We're thinking post-COVID for it to continue to look at the curriculum with it and revamp it. But Ms. Tolbert Brown teaches a course called Rise Up. It's about retail and industry. And again, it's a partnership that this curriculum, the NRF Foundation has with retailers across America. And so again, it's an industry approved credential where students are earning taking this coursework, and it will benefit them. For one prime example is a student that completes the industry credential, tests out, passes it. If there is, I'll use Home Depot as an example. They're a partnership. Home Depot has interviews in the area. You are guaranteed an interview with this Rise Up credential. You don't guarantee a job. However, you are guaranteed with this partnership with Nordstrom, with Home Depot. Those are the first two that come to mind, but there's a whole host of them in retail and industry, and students will be guaranteed their foot in the door for an interview by taking this course. So interventions really quick, and I know I'm moving too. Any questions so far, I guess, you guys? I know it's 7 o'clock and we're all here. Is there any questions real quick as I breeze through some of that stuff? I see Kim has a question. So there is a high number of our students that do go on to LCC after high school, but those credits transfer to a number of state schools. And so it just doesn't limit a student to LCC by getting that credit. That's an articulated credit that is good for a number of schools in the state of Ohio. So it's really a very valuable tool. Moving on, just our interventions. So here's the question everybody's been asking. On Monday and Tuesday, we have a cohort of between 13 and 15 students that utilize the Media Center. So there's an A through J group on Monday, and there's a K through Z group on Tuesday. The plan, if we do go back to hybrid, that Monday group would also be in school on that Wednesday, if that was the kind of the plan or whatever it was. That's kind of was the thinking early on, but not getting too far of it. Right now, students come in 1 day a week. We've identified it through teacher interventions, through our grade distributions, a number, of data points that are really letting us know who's struggling right now. Our attendance was another big one. And really half of the battle is just getting on every day and having that stamina, and somebody really just being able to give you the support to stay on your classes all day long and being able to help you. So we have about 13 students right now. We had a couple just move out, so we're probably down to 11 on the Tuesday group in the Media Center. And they stay in that Media Center and they Zoom in with their teachers. Teachers come in during their conference and plan period and offer one-on-one assistance. We have planned breaks. Every student has sort of a yard taped off that's like 6 foot by 6 foot, so you can get up, you can stretch. Everyone's facing the same way. Ms. Colson, I got to give a shout out to, just does a really wonderful job at maintaining that lab. And again, it's a team of teachers and counselors and everyone that just comes in and checks on the needs of those students and kind of keeping them afloat and hopefully getting them, improving their grades as we go. So we are monitoring grades every week, and the goal is to sort of graduate you off of that situation so that maybe by second semester we could offer the slot to somebody else. But we're doing all the same things Sheila's doing at the middle school. We have had teachers make home visits. We're going to knock on that door, let you know that we're here. We're not forgetting about you. Teachers are doing a great job of making phone calls, just identifying students as their emotions are changing, and letting our counselors know, calling parents. And again, like some of that, you want to build in systems, but some of it is really just paying attention to our students, and they're doing a good job. Also, our NIND office and our National Honor Society offer virtual tutoring to fit with kids' schedules. Go ahead, Doc. Was that it? Okay. So that's the quick of it. We're really just trying to do everything we can to support the social emotional needs where we see it, and we're constantly, just looking at our practices, reviewing them, and where can we get better at it, just like everybody else right now in the world.
Nice.
Are there any questions, Mr. Frank? They've been doing a great job with supplementals, work with the staff, and make sure we have clubs going on. So make sure we have a social emotional piece for them too as well. Any questions for Mr. Frank?
I appreciate y'all's support. I really do. Our community is awesome right now. We get a lot of compliments from how we're making a situation the best it can be. So again, I appreciate it from you guys, the support that we get, and we're just going to keep putting in everything we got right now. We'll get through it. Thank you.
Thanks to you both. Nice job.
Concludes my report. I'd like to thank our principals and our teachers for doing a great job. That Professional Development Day did a great job with our teachers collaborating, working together to create these plans and interventions. And we know we have to do e-learning our level 3 2.0. So when we met, we knew we had to provide additional support for our students to meet their academic and social needs, which we're going to do with an advanced, like Mr. Frank did at the high school, and the 6th doing in January sometime to add some more support systems for them. Okay. All right, concludes my report.
Okay, action items, board items. Do I have a motion to approve the board items?
Can we get the agenda put back up?
Oh,
Just
yes.
so that we don't have to flip.
Yeah, I hope it's the same one that I'm looking at.
I just know that we added the one resolution to this section.
Okay, action items, board items. Okay.
So this motion is for board items A through C.
Actually, A through D. with
We have
D.
to add the lead
D
one.
is where, okay.
Okay,
So
so
do
we
I
don't
have
have
a
the word one.
motion to approve board items A through D?
Let me.
So moved.
Okay.
So just for clarification, board item D is a resolution amending board policies to permit virtual board meetings. So it's the same resolution that we passed previously, but it extends it through July 1st.
Okay, any discussion?
Who seconded that? I didn't catch that.
Oh, did we get a second?
Can.
Thank you. Ken did.
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
Okay, no discussion.
Actually, we should talk about item C. This is the this is the resolution we added during the agenda setting meeting, Jason, based on the changes that happened, the legislative changes. Bob?
What item C is Senator or Representative Cupp and Senator Patterson came together and co-wrote a bill. They've been working on it for 3 years to finally get a state funding system that would actually work as a formula. With the new system using 2019's numbers, it would put only 11 districts on the guarantee. Currently, every district in the state since 2019 has been on the guarantee. So they're looking at, it would cost the state close to $1 billion, but they do have a plan to implement it over 4 to 6 years. Updating the numbers as needed, along with, they've come up with a true formula on what it costs to actually educate a regular ed student. And then they've also extended that formula out for special needs students, gifted students, low income students. And then also they've, transportation has not been funded since, I think it was 2010. Everybody's been frozen on transportation. So they've also reinstituted a transportation formula so that districts should receive what they should receive. And this also takes out the shell game of giving us money and having us send it to community schools and non-public schools. So it would eliminate that also. And
So this is a resolution that is us expressing our support
for it. So we're hoping to get it through during the lame duck.
Right.
It's been on discussions last week, and then they're hoping to vote on it the second week in December.
What was meant by the term that you used, guarantee, on the guarantee?
Right now, currently, every district is being funded at the money that they got in 2019. Ever since this formula was put into place, there has been over 230. In 2018, there was over 300 districts on a guarantee, which means you got the same amount of money you got the year prior. And that's the way the state has been funding schools. And
The guarantee goes back, I think, at least 3 decades.
yes,
And it's just the state has just always said that we will never give you less money than you got the year before so that you can make some sort of plans. And it's been called the guarantee. And there's no, there's no constitutional thing that says that the state has to do that, but it always has, except maybe this year when they cut $200,000.
yes.
Yeah, so almost always has. Except, and I'd like to just add to that the guarantee, basically, the guarantee looks at your revenue. Well, what the school is going to give you looks at what your needs are and kind of looks at what your revenue is. And because of the Nexus additional revenue, I pretty much anticipated that we would be on the guarantee for at least the next 5 years. Looks like with the Cup Patterson, we might pop off that guarantee a little bit, but I wouldn't expect us to be off that guarantee very much.
So I mean, the other thing just to be aware of is that the way schools have been funded has been found to be unconstitutional. And so this is one of the most promising steps for action to try to improve that, to reverse some of what has been found to be horribly unfair based on property taxes. Progress, not perfection.
Definitely a start.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any further discussion? All right, call the roll.
Ms. Sameka,
Yes.
Dr. Stanley,
Yes.
Ms. Jackson Davidson,
Yes.
Ms. Sham,
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes. Okay. Do I have a motion to treasurer's items? Do I have a motion to approve the treasurer's items?
So moved, A through C.
Treasurer items A through C, yes.
Second it.
Either.
Okay, we ended, I sent out everybody's, the reports are in the folder. We did end the month with $26,543,436. It did balance. Um, Our general fund, the spending plan that is tied to our 5-year forecast, we're 33% through the year, and we spent 35.77%. And again, most of that is on COVID supplies and stuff like that that didn't qualify for the COVID funds that we were given from the federal government. Payroll is right in line with last year and under projections. And benefits are a little bit higher, just because of we had more people from OPSI qualify for benefits. And other than that, everything else, capital outlay, we have a lot more budgeted there than we have in the past because of the 2 buses that we're looking to purchase, and also the dump truck that is hopefully still slated to come in February. Other than that,
Can I ask a question, Bob?
yes.
So the increase in benefits because of the OPSI qualifications, is that because they have increased hours based on the additional responsibilities we've
Yes.
needed because of the pandemic?
Yes, the OPSI union has left us not fill positions, and other people have filled those. And once they reach that 1,260 for the 12-month period, they qualify for health benefits.
And then have you had any difficulty acquiring PPE? And are you finding the prices increasing?
The biggest price increase is only in the gloves. They went from $44 a case to $110 a case. Other than that, we've been very lucky. Ford donated face masks to us. The ESC has been given face masks and been distributed them to all the districts in the county. And we have large child masks. We have small child masks for the preschool kids. And we just today got in all the plexiglass for all the desks. So in 8th grade through preschool, everybody will have a shield on their desk that is 3-sided. So, and then we also bought dividers for round tables and rectangle tables so that, and in the lunchroom, they'll fit on the lunchroom tables to keep people in their own space, so that if they are coughing and stuff, it will help protect people around them when they're not wearing their masks.
We also purchased touchless hand sanitizing stations that you've seen. Mr. Frank showed everyone too.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure we get those in the schools as well.
And we
And
have
thermometers.
plenty of hand sanitizers. We've got bottles for the teachers' desks. We've got the spray sanitizer that we're using throughout the district. We have an ample supply. Each building has more than enough product right now to produce over 1,000 gallons of disinfectant. So we're pretty good on all that. We do have PPE for each building for the COVID rooms. So those people that are designated will have the KN95 masks and face shields, plus covering for their clothes and body, hair. So yeah, we haven't had any real trouble finding this stuff, and we have shopped. We've been using providers against each other to try to get lowest prices, especially with signage and stuff like that. So yeah. The biggest thing we're having is technology stuff. We're still waiting on the computers we ordered back in April. We did place another order with Staples, who guaranteed them they're supposed to be coming in December. So we're hoping to get at least part of them in December and get those set up so that if the 19th we do come back, we'll have extra computers for the district.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
The 5-year forecast, we did meet, the finance committee met in October. We also met this month, and luckily for the district, our income tax did rebound. We've got all the shortage back except for $200,000 from July's payment. So that is looking good. We are forecasting it to be flat with last year, a little bit down actually from last year, just because of I know especially if we shut down again, that businesses in town won't be producing the income tax that they did in the past years. So the trend is looking favorable. Our revenues over exceed our expenses all but the last year in 2025. And that's with historical increases in all of our expenses. I did project the current 1.75 that we have been giving our employees for the last 4 years. That is projected out through. We did take a 0 increase in healthcare this year. Due to COVID, our consortium expenses plummeted. So we did freeze that rate, so that will help out in the future years, as long as it doesn't bounce back, but I don't see that happening. The consortiums, we have 21 school districts now, so we are pretty big, over $100 million worth of revenue. And right now we have well over what the consortium needs to hold in its reserves. It needs a 3-month reserve, and we're at close to 6 months reserve. So
So that's kind of counterintuitive that COVID has caused health costs to decrease.
yes,
That's because people are not going to see the doctor.
elective surgeries. A lot of it, I think, is people are scared to get elective surgeries. And now I know the Cleveland Clinic has canceled elective surgeries, and University Hospital has too. So I think a lot of that, and they're doing virtual appointments, which are a lot cheaper than actual office visits.
And presumably virtual surgery as well. Oh, sorry about that.
I don't think we're quite that advanced yet, but hopefully. With the Nexus money, as Ken pointed out earlier, they are paying at the 43%. And they are scheduled to have their appeal hearing in May. So we still see that revenue coming in. We are putting that money in a capital improvement reserve. We will be asking the board in January or February to reissue the notes, and we'll have to decide. Ken and I will probably meet and talk about the interest rates and where we think they're going to go to see if we should pay down. We could use some of that Nexus money that we have got to pay down some of the debt, so that we don't have to pay the interest rates if they do go up. But right now I talked to Catherine today from Fifth Third, and she said they're still right around 2.7, 3.2 is what they're issuing notes of our size for. And other than that, that's really what I have on the 5-year forecast. The finance committee was fine with it. They had no real concerns over any of the projections. And this will all be posted on the website. Once the board approves it, we'll get it up on the website for everybody to see. And then it's also posted on ODE's website.
We had a donation.
Yes, and then we had a donation of $100 from Terry and Claudine Carlton for the high school library.
Claudine's a longtime chemistry and physics teacher from the district. Great family.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, call the roll.
Ms. Emeka,
Yes.
Dr. Stanley,
Yes.
Ms. Jackson Davidson,
Yes.
Ms. Sham,
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes. Okay, superintendent's consent items. Do I have a motion to approve the superintendent's consent items A through E4. Yes, A through E4.
So moved.
Second.
Yeah, so that's E. E is the end now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, the revised end.
Yes.
Okay. Item A is approval of a second reading and adoption of the policies. As noted before, it's our second reading of the policies. 2266 is non-discrimination basis of sex and district. That's just our Title IX policy that's been revised and new, that we have to go to more specific protocols, training, post-our training, post-our compliance officer online name. If you look online, you'll see our link there for Title IX specifically. And the new one for the protective facial coverings, which I think everyone is probably going to during pandemic. And hopefully we'll be able to throw this policy out in the next couple of years here and be done with it. Item B is access, approval of agreement, access costs for children with disabilities. C is professional service contract. Jay Ferguson from EMIS. We had an EMIS position, we didn't fill it. So currently now Steve Nelson, our tech person, fill that position. Right now with the pandemic going on, we need some more support in that area. So it's not a new position, but it's the current position that we're just going to have somebody come in and help to provide assistance with Steve. EMIS is our reporting system to the state and to the federal government. You have to report all the test scores, all the information goes in, and the State Department actually get the information from EMIS. So it's very critical that we get everything in there correctly.
Are we still actively looking for somebody to assist Steve with the technology?
Yes, we are.
Yes. I think when Steve had more time, additional time to train that person, right now with 700 computers going out, fixing all the bandwidth and everything else, Steve said, even if he had some right now, he said I wouldn't be able to train them now, but when things settle down a little bit, hopefully I can get somebody in there. So we're still looking.
Good. Let's keep him sane.
Yeah. Oh yes. Item D is I'm happy to have on there is the Power School upgrade, and that will have our registrations, emergency medical forms, all that be online. So we won't have to send those out anymore to the parents, and parents should be able to say if everything stay the same, push a button, everything's the same. So
I know I'm so upset my kids are already out. The biggest pain, that paperwork.
That is to me, that's a load off, and we never get them back. And it's such a nice thing to have that there.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll integrate into Power School, so we'll be able to do our reports and things from that.
Yeah, that's huge.
Item E is personnel. Of course, we took off to Justin Beck as well, and we have leave of absence. I'm going to have to spell that correctly there. For Nelsa and Jillian Baker, who have extended maternity leave. Item 3 is to correct Suzanne Knox RTI coordinator position. And item 4, some more additional supplementals and clubs that we have that's going to offer for our students to get them some more social emotional needs. We do have, we check with the clubs. They all submitted plans to the principal and myself to how they're going to carry these out. Drama Club said they're going to do a virtual performance. Ski Club said they're going to safe distance and they're in contact with ski facility, and they will be able to go through that trip as well.
Is this the rest? Is that all of the supplementals now?
We still have sports, some to go through as well, with still some of that's up in the air, but the ones we have already approved, we can go through with. So we have most of them all done.
Okay.
Request approval of item A through E4.
Dr. Holt, I hear Jason's voice like ringing in the back of my head for the supplementals. And I don't know what the current practice is, but one of the things that I hope we're moving toward is when we get teachers who take on this kind of supplemental as part of the closing of it, like ensuring that part of the expectation is that they communicate out what happened so that it ends up being a blog article or, so there's some kind of clear documentation. But then the Jason voice is saying, and then also ensuring that we have some way of evaluating how it went so that we don't just keep putting the same person in the same role because that's what they've had previously if it's not going well. So if we're collecting data in some way about how these supplementals are, how many students were involved, some kind of satisfaction, like something about it so that we have data to help support the continuation of the supplemental, but then also the qualities to ensure we're doing the right thing for the kids.
Yes.
We are putting in place, and we did mail out with the last supplementals that you passed, it's called a purpose statement, and they will put on there any fundraising they're planning on doing, how many kids they feel they're going to participate, and then at the end, before they get paid, they will have a report that will be given back to the board. So that's what we're hoping to have in May and June.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
And I'm just going to trust that most of these look like they're pretty much remote, done remotely. Ski clubs would obviously not be done remotely. I hope that they're doing, I trust that they're doing everything, and especially I hope that the ski lodge building itself is closed. I think that, skiing should be an outdoor activity. But generally, in the past when you ski, you then also go into the lodge, and lodge would just be a super spreader event, in my opinion. So I hope that nobody's going to those lodges, and I certainly hope that ours aren't. I also hope that if we're taking a bus, that bus is pretty close to empty, pretty well spread out. Of all of these, that's the one that looks to me like it has. But the people there are people I trust. So.
Mm-hmm.
And they submitted a plan prior to even to supplemental. So all of them, even a drama club virtually, how are you going to do it virtually? What's the performance look like? When are you going to do the performance? Ski club especially had to the busing. If we have to take 2 or 3 buses to make sure the students are spaced apart, we're going to make sure that happens. They had to call the lodge. Of course, they've been there several times to make sure it was open, what safety procedures they had in place in the lodge. So all that was submitted into their reports before they'd even it was even approved. So all of them came through the principal that I had to approve them to at the same time.
Good.
Okay.
Jason?
Yes.
I'm wondering, I have a question related
Okay.
to what Ann said before. I heard the information about what you all have built in for accountability related to the supplementals, but I'm wondering if the kind of thing that Ann raised would also be considered, which I think has more to do with the quality of experience from the student end, as opposed to whether or not it was built safely. And people sort of made the marks for structuring something, but some sort of feedback that lets us know what the experience was.
Okay. Good point.
Now, because Bob, you said that you're expecting reports in May from these supplementals, correct?
Yes, they will be filling them out in May, and I hope to have them in front of the board in June.
Okay,
But next
and that'll include, like, I mean, I know, I guess it's for them to decide, what to include, but definitely like all the feedback, what Kim just raised,
yeah,
and what I usually, the points I make. So
yes,
okay, yeah, well,
I'll keep the board posted on what's on those, and we can even have some testimonies for some of the students who participate in those clubs.
mm-hmm.
And with the drama club, I'm interested to see how it's going to work virtually.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be an interesting performance from them.
Yeah, and okay, yeah. So now, anybody else? Any Anything else to add? Questions, comments? Okay, we'll go on to
All the-
comments, discussions, board updates.
Roll
Oh, I
call.
thought, I'm sorry. I thought we did that. I'm sorry. Getting ahead of myself. Call the roll.
Ms. Ameca,
Yes.
Dr. Stanley,
Yes.
Ms. Jackson Davidson,
Yes.
Ms. Shum,
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes. Now, comments, discussions, board update.
I have no further update on the legislative liaison. The resolution that we passed earlier was the main thing, the resolutions that we passed earlier, and I have no update from JVS.
I'm going to defer to Rob on the
Finance committee.
on the endowment. I'll talk about the finance committee that
The endowment, we did meet last Wednesday. There was 2 Phoenix grants that came in and we did approve both full. The board also decided to give another donation to all the teachers, $100 gift cards, 83 of them. And then they also decided, since they still had money that was not allocated, to give $2,000 to the high school principal, $1,000 to Langston Middle School principal, and $1,000 to Prospect Principals Fund, and then $1,000 to Eastwood for them to use to buy extra stuff for virtual to help out teachers. There are some licenses out there that we can't purchase district wide, but that buildings could purchase and stuff like that. Upgrades, whatever teachers need to help them that we don't have the funding for, or that Steve doesn't have funding in his technology grant for. So those were the grants awarded. I did just get in the cards yesterday and we'll be distributing those next week to all the teachers. And then I'm putting together paperwork for the principals to use when they want to buy stuff from the scholarship with the money that they donated to them.
For the gift cards that go to the teachers, are there, like, what's the expectation for the use of that?
Most of them are using it to buy things that we provide the cheaper version of headphones for students, and some students need a better quality. So that has been mentioned. They buy art supplies and stuff that normally we buy the basics for them, but some teachers want extra stuff. Most teachers on the average spend, if you listen to most of the reports, $600 of their own money. So this is something the endowment board thought would be helpful to them so that they're not using, especially with virtual, because it's a whole new world for everybody. There are a lot of software programs that help out, Zoom and Google Classroom, that teachers can get free subscriptions to, but then they run out. And so some might use it for that. Some might use it for, like I said, better earphones, just things to help make their environment look more appealing to the students and engage them.
Thanks.
Okay, I do not have any updates. Ken, did you want to, did you say you were going to discuss the finance committee? Okay.
But I guess I would wait for Ms. Ameca. She's up next with policy committee.
Thanks. I don't have any updates for the policy committee or the town and gown committees. Thanks.
Well, we went over in the finance committee, we went over the 5-year forecast. 5-year forecast looks very good. You know, as Bob said during the, you know, during his treasurer's report, yeah, it looks good. I was expecting to see more of a drop in both income tax and property tax. That hasn't shown up yet. And might not. We might see it still next year. We did lose, I guess, about $200,000 from the state, but we picked up about $200,000 from the feds, both COVID related. And those are fairly small numbers in our overall scheme. And yeah, we're continuing to, and Robert's been, continuing to be very conservative, as he should, with how we're treating the Nexus money. Nexus has continually asked the state to reduce their tax that they're going to pay us, and the state has continued to say no. So if that holds, if that continues to hold, they will eventually have to give that money to us, and as Robert points out, we get that with a 5% interest on whatever they don't pay us. So it's a whole lot better than we're getting anywhere else. So cautiously, it looks good, and if things continue to play out this way, we could well be in a position where, when our number comes up with the state, when our number, meaning when they would fully fund the rest of the building project, I think it's distinctly possible, no guarantees, but it's distinctly possible that we could go back to the voters and just renew the 4.9 mil, of course, upping it up to whatever the 4.9 mil would be at that next point. But we might be able to get the second stage built that way. That's all very speculative, but on the other hand, we did things back with our first bond financing to make that possible if everything fell out right, and things are so far they're falling out right. So so far it's working well.
So I just want to reiterate what I just heard you say, Ken. If, big if at the beginning, things continue to pan out the same way as you presented, when it comes time to build 6 through 12, the action we would go back to the voters with would be, in effect, restarting the clock on the building, on the bond, at a approximate the same millage. So,
right.
But not asking for more money.
I think that's distinctly possible. Robert, what do you think? I mean,
yes, that's what Ken and I have talked about. Is what we would do is put the issue back on at the 4.9 and extend it out the 37 years. With the Nexus money, if we continue to use that to pay down debt, the $2.9 million in notes would be paid off, not out of bond money, but actually out of the general fund money from Nexus. And that would alleviate that debt in the debt fund. So we would have extra money then. And the way that Ken has structured our payback, we are paying back the maximum amount that we can in the first 10 years of that bond issue. So that would free up the rest of that money to then fund to resell bonds to fund the K through 12.
So that's the debt that we're allowed to incur.
Yes.
And by putting it, I know I've said this many times before, but by saying up front that we were going to pay off our debt over as much as we could over the next 10 years, we were able to get a much lower interest rate. And that also helps. All of that helps. And again, so if things do continue to fall into place, the hope is, and of course we don't know when our number is going to come up. I haven't looked at that recently. Last I looked, it was 5 to 6 years in the future, but it has been 5 to 6 years in the future for at least 15 years. So who knows?
Okay.
And I'm really not kidding on that. It's been maybe a little bit more than 5 to 6 years, 15 years ago, but we were talking about this 15 years ago.
And we met with them about a couple months ago. They said 5 to 6, the same thing.
It will eventually come. But
they're consistent.
All right. Any other comments? All right. Hearing of the public on other items?
We have not received anything.
Okay. Future meetings. So we have a regular meeting, December 15th, next month, and our organizational meeting, January 12th, 2021. And both of those will be virtual. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right. If there's no further discussion, call the roll.
Ms. Ameca,
Yes.
Dr. Stanley,
Yes.
Ms. Jackson Davidson,
Yes.
Ms. Shum,
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Bye,
Stay
all.
safe.
Happy
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving to
Stay
you
safe,
too.
everyone.
Yes.
See
Stay
you guys
healthy.
next month.
Yes.
Yep.
Bye bye.